Hello people, welcome to another video of my YouTube channel Being Logical. Today we are going to study section 82 and 83 of IPC, which provides for the defense of infancy. Unlike section 81 defense of necessity, defense of infancy is an absolute right, whereas section 81 defense of necessity was not an absolute right. So what does section 82 says? Section 82 provides for an absolute defense to a child who commits an offense under IPC, provided that the child should be less than 7 years of age. Merely the evidence of the age being below 7 years is a conclusive proof of innocence of a child who has committed an offense under IPC, and would ipso facto be an answer to any charge framed against him under IPC. There is a Latin term that is used to signify this infancy known as Doli Incapax. Doli Incapax means being incapable of understanding the nature and consequences of one's own act. And generally, the objective, the aim, the intention of the legislature behind inscribing section 82 into the IPC is that generally the kids below 7 years of age do not understand the nature and consequences of the act they do. And on this reasoning only, section 83 gets its foundation. Section 82 was an absolute defense. Section 83 comes out as a conditional defense. Section 83 talks about the act of a child who is above 7 years but under 12 years of age having an immature understanding. Now there are three essential ingredients under section 83. First, the child who is accused of an offense should be above 7 years but under 12 years of age. Secondly, he must be a Doli Incapax, meaning thereby he must not have attained the sufficient maturity to understand the nature and consequence of his conduct. Thirdly, such an incapacity, that is being Doli Incapax, must exist at the time of commission of that act. Section 83 deals with the cases of qualified immunity to a child. Or while invoking the defense of section 83, the burden of proof is on the accused child to prove that he was Doli Incapax, whereas the prosecution can rebut this claim and prove that he was not Doli Incapax at time of committing this crime. Now, difference between Indian and English law. In Indian law, section 82 provides that a child of age below than 7 years can invoke an absolute defense to a crime which he committed under IPC. ठीक है, यहाँ पे कोई प्रूव करने की जरूरत नहीं है, उसको नेचर एंड कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस ऑफ फैक्ट पता थे या नहीं पता थे. सेक्शन 82 के अंदर ये एब्सोल्यूट डिफेंस है. वहीं पर जो ये एब्सोल्यूट डिफेंस इंग्लैंड में मिलता है, वो मिलता है टू अ चाइल्ड ऑफ एज बिलो देन 10 इयर्स. सेक्शन 83 जो इंडिया के अंदर कहता है टू अ चाइल्ड हु इज अबव 7 इयर्स एंड बिलो 12 इयर्स, जो एक क्वालिफाइड इम्यूनिटी देता है टू अ चाइल्ड with a burden of proof on the accused child to prove that he was a Doli Incapax at the time of committing that crime. English law sets the age for such cases to be above than 10 years and below 14 years. जो यहाँ एज स्लैब है सेक्शन 83 का 7 से 12, वो इंग्लिश लॉ के अंदर 10 से 14 हो जाता है. चलो, let us understand section 82 and 83 of IPC With the help of this explanation, देखो section 82 provides the defense to a kid who is 7 years or below, whereas section 83 provides the defense to a kid who is 7 to 12 years old. अब section 82 का defense जो है that is called absolute defense of infancy, whereas section 83 का defense is known as defense of qualified immunity. Section 83 में further होता है कि it has to be proved by the child that he has not attained sufficient maturity of understanding to judge the nature and consequence of his conduct on that particular occasion for which he is being accused of. Section 83 की backing एक Latin maxim से भी है, which says quia malitia supplet actatum, which means malice makes up for age. It is well understood कि 7 से 12 साल तक का बच्चा भी होगा तो एक बच्चा ही, पर सेक्शन 83 थोड़ा हार्श प्ले करता है, क्योंकि इफ अ पर्सन, इफ अ किड, इफ अ ह्यूमन whatsoever commits an offense with an intention, with the malice in his mind, that is sufficient in itself to ensure his liability, and hence malice makes up for his age. Going further to the test of qualified immunity. We have been talking about the qualified immunity in section 83. There is a test laid down by the courts, by the Indian courts, which talks about the tests of qualified immunity. See, this test depends on 3 factors. First, the nature of the offense committed. Second, the subsequent conduct of the offender. The child who conducted that offense, who did that offense, how was his conduct after committing that offense? And the third is the demeanor and appearance of that offender child in the court. Now this is an interesting fact. If a child of 7 to 12 years wishes to invoke the defense of section 83, he will be carefully observed by the court that how was his conduct during the court proceedings. His demeanor and his appearance in the court will be closely observed by the court while educating this type of case. Now there is a point of criticism of Indian laws in this regard. It is being criticized on a point that section 82 talks about the child who is below 7 years of age. Section 83 talks about a child who is above 7 years. And in these two sections, Indian legislators fail to lay down the course of law in case where the child is exactly of 7 years. And for the purpose of filling up this lacuna, the Indian courts have come to a conclusion that if a child is of 7 years, he will be given the absolute defense under section 82 for a reason that the benefit of any reasonable doubt should go to the accused. And for this reason only, the Indian courts have decided that if a child is of exactly 7 years, he will be given the defense of section 82 and he will not have to be a subject under section 82. To further understand this concept of qualified immunity under section 83, let me give you 2 examples of leading cases in this regard. First, Ula Mahapatra. There was a boy of 11 years old who once picked up a knife and threatens a person to kill him and cut him into pieces. And then he actually did that. Now in the court of law, when he invokes the defense of section 83, he was denied this defense for a reason that he did what he intended to do. And hence he was sent to a reformatory school for 5 years. There was another famous case of a child of 9 years named Krishna. He stole a necklace of worth rupees 282 and sells it off to a person named B for 5 annas. And when the trial of theft was going on against him, he invoked the defense of Section 83, wherein the court held that the selling of the necklace by the child for some monetary benefits in itself is sufficient to prove that he was very well aware and mature to understand the nature and consequences of his act, and hence he was also held liable for theft.